4, 3. We all live?
We are good. Alex, how you doing?
Great. My name is Alex. I am an associate producer for the television show CornWarriors and the Podfather. I got a gaggle of guys here today. I got Matt Miles, Temple Rhodes, Rob Deadman, our sales lead, Nate Enan, and special guest, Andy Detweiler, who is in the segment tonight with Corey Atlee. So how's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Doing great tonight.
Great. Well, Andy, you're our special guest, so let's start with you, man. Tell us a bit about yourself, you know?
My name's Andy Detweiler. I'm 52 years old. I'm a 5th generation farmer, and we raise 1,300 acres of corn and soybeans, and we're located in Midwestern Ohio. I've been farming all my life, and just starting to bring my daughter into the farm now. She's coming on board with us and is going to farm with us, and it's going to be a great asset to the farm. 3 years ago, I started a YouTube channel called The Harmless Farmer, and everybody kind of laughs about that, you know, but saying harmless is better than saying armless, I feel. So we call it The Harmless Farmer, and I have 123,000 subscribers now, and that seems to be going well. So if we're not farming, we're making videos, and we're even making videos when we're farming. So it's a little bit about me. When I was 2.5 years old, lost my arms, do things a little bit different than most other people do. But in the end, just like you guys were talking about a little bit ago, we get to the same ending at doing this. So,
Andy, how did it happen?
I reached into a grain auger. We were unloading wheat. And when you're 2 years old, the hopper's pretty tall. So I had to reach on in there to get it, and fell on in, and went in there, and it took both my arms off.
Who was there with you?
My grandpa was there with me. My dad was out in the field cutting wheat, and my grandpa was there, and he's the one that actually grabbed a hold of me and pulled me out of it, walked me up to the house, and that's when they called the ambulance. They wrapped me up with towels and sent me to the hospital.
Your grandfather saved your life.
Grandpa did save my life.
And Andy, you were telling us before the show that the sidebar or the bar in the auger actually kept you from going fully in as well, right?
Yeah, there was no cage on the auger at that time, and the bars that go down that actually attach to the carrier bearing on the end of the auger, one of those bars went right along the top of the auger, and that caught my face right underneath my nose. And there's actually a scar underneath my nose, and that's what kept me from going on into the auger, and it taken most of my body. They probably could have at that time. So I was very fortunate on that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's amazing the amount of work that you can get done and the adversities that you have to overcome. And on a day-to-day basis, you know, we all are, you know, lucky to have, you know, everything, you know, and we don't realize, you know, what you go through on a day-to-day basis, you know, and sometimes that we think that, you know, oh, you know, life woes me. We really have no idea, do we, Andy?
Exactly. You know, I mean, you know, and I don't remember what it's like to have hands. I've never even dreamed about it, I don't think. And, you know, I mean, this is just the way I am, and this is how we go on with life. And you know, yeah, it does take me a little bit longer to do some things sometimes, and we just have to plan ahead for that. But other than that, you know, this is just the way it is, you know. I mean, we
I mean,
go
it's
on.
interesting, like in the promo that y'all might be able to see. I mean, you're opening the door to your truck with your feet, you're driving with your feet. I mean, in the episode, the first time we ever see you, you pull up and you look, you know, totally normal. And then you pull your sunglasses off like with your feet. And I remember the
Yeah.
first time I saw that, I was like, oh, this is something special, you know? And the way that you've kind of said you don't ever even remember having your arms. It's like the doctors told you it was supposed to be this way. I mean, I don't know, weirdly, you seem like you've come to terms with it and surpassed what it means and how, I don't know. It's just really remarkable how it's kind of become your identity in a very positive way.
When I was in the hospital right after that, as soon as I was able to eat, they said they brought a dinner plate into me, a dinner tray in, and I started using my feet. And that's the way it's been ever since then. You know, I just have been using my feet ever since then. So, you know, clear up through high school, clear up through school, you know, and even going to get my driver's license, you know, I just went and did it like a normal person would. I don't think you could probably do that now, but we just pushed ahead like a normal person would, and kind of left everybody speechless at some times, you know, but now everything's fine. I still would like to know what people would think if they passed me on the road in my semi when I'm hauling corn or soybeans. What would they think if they knew I was driving with my feet? Now, I do show that on my YouTube channel and stuff like that, and I've had all kinds of comments against it, and I've had majority of my comments have been for it. So, but that's just the way it is.
I
That's
want to
awesome.
switch gears just a little bit to ask Matt and Robbo about their part of the episode. So we see how many insects you guys are dealing with. All right. So is this like a normal thing for you guys? Is it something that you have to deal with every single year? Is this sort of insect pressure?
Oh yeah, it's every single year. Now in this episode, and Rob may disagree, but that was probably the most severe, one of the most severe situations we have in a year. Now we'll have those same severe situations all the time. If we get the red bands at the end of the year, and Rob can talk about that a little bit, you know, that they've turned farmers' loads down of beans because they had too many red band stink bugs in the load.
Has that ever happened to you?
No, I've got a good agronomist.
Rob, your comments?
Well, I mean, he does have a good agronomist. But, no, it's those were bad, and you know we talked about it in the episode that just a few days before we had looked at those beans and they weren't bad, and in that field that we noticed there was a lot of nymphs, and which would be, you know, juvenile stink bugs, and it just, you know, we knew that they were going to hatch out at some point in time, and they did, and you know, and it happened when y'all were there, and most of those stink bugs we were looking at were less than 2 days old, you know, so it was kind of not what you really want to see happen, but we did get them took care of before they caused any economic damage, and that's the part that counts.
Well, and I think I had 42 in my suite. You know, normally when our threshold's 8, I think that's right, isn't it, Rob? 8?
9.
9. So, you know, when we get to the 5 to 7 range, Alex, we go ahead and plant a spray, you know, to be honest with you. Those kind of caught us a little bit by surprise. They did, and we get in those situations. And of course, Rob was going to the Mayo Clinic for his MS. So, you know, we were kind of doing some of that sweeping for him, you know, while he was gone. And I've really learned a lot. I've normally let him take care of that. But, you know, I got to learn a lot this year because while he was getting his MS treatments, you know, Lane and I were doing a lot of the sweeping.
Well, what do you guys do after the fact? So now it's clearly way more. I mean, it sounds like it's about 4 times more than what your threshold is. Then what?
Kill them.
Kill them. That's what we said in there. We're bringing death and destruction. They got to die.
What we'll do, Alex, is I think the question you're asking, we had an airplane in there the next morning, applying a pesticide for them. And I mean, that's something normally we're a 2 to 3, we probably average 2 sprayings a year on soybeans, but on cotton, it's 7 or 8 times a year. I mean, 7 or 8 times during the season. Worms, plant bugs. That's something we deal with down here. That is, I mean, you lose a crop. To give you a prime example, I had my cotton consultant send me he sends me texts of what to spray. Well, when I read the text, I left out a field. When I sent it to the airport, I left out a field. So the next week he comes back and he says, "Man, I don't know what happened, but George Earl's backfield, we didn't kill anything." And I'm like, "Well, we didn't spray that." And I went back. I wanted to blame it on him. I went back to my text. I couldn't blame it on him. I wanted to blame it on the airplane. He forgot it. I couldn't blame it on him. And I keep those texts, so I always know what's going on. But I couldn't blame that on anybody but myself. But it was a 200-pound lint loss on cotton. So in today's prices, that was $200 an acre.
And that's the worst part about miscommunication is it's always half my fault, every time that it's two-way street, and that sort of stuff happens. That's killer. Andy, Temple, do you guys have to deal with any serious insect pressure like these guys do?
Andy, you want to go first?
We haven't had to go back in and spray too much for any insects right here. Very sporadically we might have to, but our problem is white mold in the soybeans, and so we got to go in and spray fungicide for that, but that's about it. So insect pressure isn't too bad here.
Just a very quick follow-up. Andy, what crops are you farming?
Corn and soybeans.
Corn and soybeans. And Temple, what about insect pressure for you, buddy?
So we are proactive as we try to be. We try to never farm reactive. I'm not saying that we go out there and put on insecticide when we don't have to, but we don't get a tremendous amount. But in every pass that we make, regardless, insecticide is a very, very cheap insurance program. So it is in most every mix that we put out there. So we don't have a lot. We don't have nowhere near the pressures that they do down south, but we do have some. We will have, more than anything, we'll have a real bad stint of grasshoppers come in. We might have some bean beetles come in later on, but for the most part, we're not terrible with that. We're pretty fortunate.
That's good. I got a follow-up for you, Temple. So last time we were at your place, you were talking a lot about ROI and return on investment, and how copperhead concaves have helped out with that. If you had to pick, I know you don't like the silver bullet, but what would you say be like the most impactful, easiest way to increase your ROI to any farmers watching out there?
I mean, are you talking equipment wise? Are you talking chemistry? Are you talking micronutrients? Are you talking about all of them?
A big umbrella, all of them would be sweet. But I personally am always interested in the chemistry stuff because a lot of these guys always need chemistry. Everything, all the above play a part. It's about going back and finding that timeliness of where all of them play a part. The copperhead concaves, I swear by them. I've been running them for a lot of years. The same set that I've in my combine has been in 2 combines. This is the second combine I've wore out with those concaves. I would swear by them. That's a huge return on investment. Fungicides are a massive return on investment. So if I had to pick one thing, BASF fungicides. Not because
this show is sponsored by that. It has nothing to do with that. I've been using BASF fungicides for a long time, and I've sworn by them, and they've made me the most amount of money of anything. Micronutrients, learning different micronutrients at the right time to put different micronutrient packs on, and some, site specific micros at different growing phases. That's a huge return on investment, but that's tricky. That's really, really tricky. So I guess for the average progressive farmer out there, fungicides would probably be the biggest bang for the buck. Would you get other guys? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, if that, excuse me, if Alex would ask me the same question, I would almost mimic your answer. Fungicides are a big bang for your buck. Micronutrients, using boron, solubar, that's probably my fourth most important nutrient behind NPK. Here, probably we can get as good a ROI out of timeliness as we can fungicides, but those run neck and neck.
So the real question, Matt, is what are you guys doing to get those 5-bean pods?
You've seen it in the show. We've been looking for them for 10 years and have not been able to find them. We started seeing them in our Agrigo varieties, and they were also in some other varieties too. I don't know if this year, we have a lot of 4-bean pods. We have minimum amount of 2 and 1-bean pods, and that's where we get a lot of our yield pickup. And that's due to fungicide and micronutrients and, some PGRs and stuff we're using. But for 10 years, we've looked for them hard. We've even had some of our guys' wives, because I had $100 bounty. If someone could find me a 5-bean pod, I was going to give them $100, $100. And I got wore out this year. I had to quit. We had to stop and say, okay, no more. And I want to say it's a variety because, we love our Agrigo beans, but it was in all the beans. It was just a year. I don't know, Rob, if you got any ideas on that, but we went from 0 5-bean pods to, we could have went out there. I don't know how many we could have found if we'd have continued to look.
We did. It was a good year overall, but truth be known, you gotta relate it back to variety on some of this, I guess, because majority of where we found them at were in the Agrigo beans.
We had some really flooding rains early. I say early, it wasn't early. We were probably at R3 to R3 when we had those floods. Y'all were here. That's when I had to shred 40 acres of corn because it went over the ear and stayed over the ear for 7 days and killed the corn. So, I'm wondering if maybe that plant was trying to, recoup itself from that heavy amount of rains and that's what made the difference. Rob's right. The newer varieties seem to have, we have a lot more 4-bean pods out of the newer variety. Used to, if we found a 4-bean pod, we thought it was pretty cool. And now we farm for 4-bean pods.
There you go. And Rob, in the episode, you actually find one which held a little bit more significance to you. Do you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when, 2 years ago, I found out that I had MS, and that's probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with in my entire life. I've lost my grandparents, I've lost other friends and family, but to hear that news was that a doctor told me that, that I had that was pretty hard. And, and it hit me hard. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn from things like that. But on this specific deal with Matt and I was getting ready to go to Mayo Clinic, and Matt said, I want to ride with you for a while and just make sure I'm doing this right. And I said, okay, no problem. So we were on the side by side and we were checking fields, and somebody called him and said, hey, we just found a 5-bean pod. And Matt told me we were getting ready to walk into a field and do a set of sweeps. And he said, boy, I sure would like to find one of those. And I said, yeah. I said, well, you're not going to find one with me. And he said, well, why is that? And I said, because I am the unluckiest person in the world. At the time, they thought that the form of MS I had was a type that there's only about 15,000 people in the United States have it. And which we found out later that it's not that kind. So that was very positive. And so, you know, I told him, I said, I'm the most unluckiest person there is. I said, we're not going to find one of those. I said, if I find one of those, I said, God's going to let me be healed. And, you know, that was what, like a week or so. And then I said that, and then we were out there and, you know, I don't think we had found one in that field up until then. And, you know, we were walking around out there when y'all were there, and man, I opened up those beans, and there that 5-bean pod was, and it just, that was a pretty awesome deal. I mean, it was pretty awesome. It was that, you know, that's God talking to you. Mm-hmm. And you know what he said? He said, it's going to be okay. And, you know, there's people, that deal with a whole lot more worse stuff than MS every day. I mean, you know, there's a lot more adversities in life than what I've got, and I'm not looking for people's pity, but my point to all that is we can work through adversities, and you know, and Kevin Cobb and I have talked about it, and you know, several times and stuff, and Kevin lost a relative because couldn't deal with adversities. And things weren't going the way they needed them to go. And that's just not the thing to do. And it was tough. I mean, my gosh, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 people on this Zoom tonight. And every one of those people have played a very important part in helping me cope with all this, you know. Matt and Lane, I mean, my family, you know, other clients that I have, they're my rocks. I mean, it's golly, Matt's he's seen tears run down my face so many times, and I'm going to quit. I'm going to do this. And it's like, no, it's going to be okay. We got your back. You know, it's going to be okay. But yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool time.
No, it sounds like a spiritual experience. You know, I think in a lot of adversity, we don't want people to like fix the problem. We just want people to help us know that it's going to be okay. You know, is to just support us and saying, we'll get through it, whatever happens, not even, you know, fix it or absolve it. So I think that's just really well said, Rob. Matt, also in that segment, Temple, you might have to chime in here. Matt said that he'd get a soybean tattoo if he pulled in 150 bushels. Temple, will you do the same?
Yeah. I don't know. I've been at 150 before. I don't know.
Hold on now. Temple can hit 150 bushels real easy. I don't think I'll ever have to worry about the tattoo.
This is why I was surprised he said yes so easily.
But he did say yes.
If
he
I
wants
hit
that
170,
tattoo.
if I hit 170, I'll do it.
There you go.
I'm with you.
All right.
I'll do it. My mother will probably disown me, just so we're all clear. So I hope she doesn't disown me.
Well, Temple, I've already figured it out. We're gonna put it way up here on the top of our arm, so
So
one
nobody
can
can see
it. No, your mother will never see it.
Good idea. I'd put it on the crack of my ass, but every time I bend over, my butt's hanging out.
I understand. Same thing here.
Get the soybean tramp stamp. Andy, what's it going to take for you to get a soybean tattoo?
I tell you what, man, if I just do 100 bushels, I'd be happier than heck right now. You know, so I don't know.
There we
150
go.
bushels. Yeah, just tell me where to put it. I'll put one on me.
Tell me
But
where
I
to
want
put
that
it,
to
yeah.
be farm wide. If it's farm wide, I'm going to probably put it behind my ear.
If I get 100 bushel farm wide, I might put it on my forehead.
I'm with you on that, Matt. Me too.
100 bushel farm wide, Matt's going to get a sleeve.
Yeah,
He's
just a
gonna
whole
get
soybean vine
A
all the
whole
way up
big
his arm.
vine.
Yeah, our
Well,
highest average, I guess, farm wide on 3,000 to 4,000 acres has probably been 87, 88 bushels. So I'm a long way from 100 bushel farm average. I guess I could shut my acres down, have about 200 acres, I still couldn't do it. The most I've ever made 100 bushels on consistently is about 120 acre field.
That's not too bad at all. I'll
That's
tell you what,
awesome.
Temple, if you got it on your hand, people wouldn't know the difference.
That's right.
No, they wouldn't. You'd never see it.
We've
would
seen
have
the
to
monitor
start
today.
monitor,
I'd have to
we've
start
seen the
drawing on my
monitor go
forehead.
that high in the combine, but we've never averaged anything, even in 10 acres on 100 bushels. So
It's not easy, is it, Matt?
No, it's not. And people think we, throw the kitchen sink at it, and there's no need in doing that. If we can't make it work farm wide, now I'm not saying 100 bushels, but we've learned a lot. Rob and I and Lane's learned a lot on these 5 acre plots with Arkansas in the 100 to 120 range of being able to bring that to normal production and, get our yields up in the 80 to, high 80s. So, if it don't matter what you can do in a plot if you can't take it farm wide.
No. I mean,
Yeah,
and
and
we're
that's
not really
something that
looking to do any of that either. We're really, it's just what Matt said. We're only looking to take pieces and parts of what we're learning out of these plots and all, and then we're trying to take that to the real life, But if we can ever get to the point of 100 bushel across the chart, good Lord. Whew.
We need a lot
Especially
more.
at $14 beans.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what'd you say, Matt?
I said, we need a lot more 5 bean pods to make that happen.
You better believe it.
I want to go over some
timely
comments.
rains.
I want to go over a few comments that we got for you guys too. Jimmy Hicks says, Rob, we are here for you, buddy. And he also said, Andy, hire Robbo, he'll get you there.
He needs to talk
didn't
about,
mean to cut you off.
no, he needs to talk about his yields too, because he's a pretty stout farmer down a little bit, about 20 miles south of us.
I saw Robbo joined the 100 bushel. I saw an article that you joined the 100 bushel club.
Heck yeah. I got to farm some last year, and it was pretty fun. I mean, I help Matt and them do it every day. I told Matt a long time ago, I said, I sure would like to have my name on one of those one time.
And you did. I noticed in that same article, I think it was kind of like the, I guess it's the Arkansas soybean contest. It's kind of like divided into counties or divisions based on location. And Matt, you weren't in one. You had to have your own competition. It was like the prestige category or some champions or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's no joke.
Well, and I don't mean this arrogant at all, but it got to where people didn't want to enter because, we seemed to, there were some of us always winning it. So I asked the Soybean Association, I said, let's do a complete different contest that everybody's hit over 100 bushels. We'll be in in our own group and let the guys that, we don't want to lose this momentum because we got some guys really making some good yields.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about other people making the yields. I don't, I'm just as happy when Temple makes what he makes as I am when I make my own.
Yeah, the show definitely has that camaraderie and support system around it. Before we head out, we got about 48 seconds. I wanted to shoot to Nate because he's at the Farm Machinery Show where you can find Nate and the executive producer, Seth Wood of Corn Warriors, and you can watch the episodes at cornwarriorstv.com. Nate, what do you got to say, man, before we head out?
Tell you what, it's my first time at the show. It was amazing. Man, you can get lost here. There's a lot of stuff. And tell you, it's a little bit humbling if every booth here has some aspect to do with agriculture. We're in a pretty stinking awesome industry. It's amazing to see everybody come together. And got to say too, Andy, good seeing you, man. Thanks
Good
for being
seeing
a
you.
part of this. And hopefully we see you down at Commodity Classic. I'll be talking to you. If you
Okay.
guys get a chance, check out with Andy down there at Commodity, and sure appreciate you guys.
Sounds great, brother. Well, we're about to head out. Here's the new episode. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys. Really appreciate having you on. Always a lot of knowledge in this room, so we really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Andy, for being on.
Yep, good to meet all you guys.
Yep. Thanks, Andy.
Yep, thank you.
Andy, just give us a call. We'll help you with the bean yields.
Okay, I'll do that.
Let's do it. Let's set it up. All right, you guys have a great night. Thanks again. And now stick around for the newest episode of the Podfather.